Right, this is going to be a complete beginner's guide, not edited out, not sped up, the whole process from start to finish on how to plaster a wall. So a friend of mine has plastered this extension, but he's run out of time and he's asked me to come and plaster this wall for him. This is going to be the ideal wall to show you because there's all sorts of different bits on it that you might come across. So we've got a window, we've got external corner beads with reveals, we've got an opening, it's high, there's a sloped ceiling going towards it, so all the little bits that are going to make things tricky in life for you, we've got them. We've got switches, sockets, we've got a radiator that can't come off, which is going to blend in up to it, so there's going to be some blending, there's all sorts of different bits on it. So, the tools that you will need to plaster a wall are very simple and basic. Handboard, or hawk and trowel. You will need plasterer's flat brush, a bucket trowel to scoop it out of the bucket. You could use a spot and stand as well, which is like a table to put your plaster on. You don't need it. Plasterer's small tool. This might not be necessary, but I'll recommend you get one. They're cheap. Life's easier if you've got one to hand, just in case you need it, for little tricky bits. And an angle brush. This is how you're going to finish around the edges and join up to the other walls nicely. Now to mix the plaster, you're going to need a good sized mixing bucket. You're going to need a spare bucket to top up your water, and you're also going to need a washing out bucket as well. A whisk is vitally important. You don't want to be mixing it by hand, trust me, them days for me are long gone. You can just get a whisk attachment that goes into an old drill. Ideally, Reese, who's filming, ideally would have kept this spotless for you, but he's let base coat build up on it. So, you're sorry about that, aren't you, Reese?
Yeah.
Very sorry, you could hear it in his voice. Right, so we're going to mix up now and get started and show you everything start to finish. I recommend, if you're going to do a wall yourself, what I'll do is watch this video in its entirety, try and take everything in, and then when you start plastering yourself, play this at the same time and you can pause it and check where you're up to. That's what I think would be the easiest way. This is the only part of this video that is sped up, and it's solely because I have a whole other video dedicated to how to mix plaster on my channel. You can just search it, mixing plaster. Now, everything from this point onwards is going to be completely unedited, untouched. You are going to see the whole process from beginning to end with nothing omitted apart from the bits where I'm waiting around doing nothing. So I'll tell you the times that I've waited. Okay, let's begin. Now, just to let you know as well, this wall has been already prepped by my mate. He's beaded it, he's filled out bits of bond and he's scrimmed it. What have you. All this preparation work is all covered in other videos. Even the mixing, you can find more videos on that. So this video is just solely going to be skimming. Now, there's a technique with everything. I want to get the plaster nice and neat from the get-go. The way I always do it is first bring it across. What some guys like to do is damp down all the walls surrounding, the ceiling surrounding, just so that these don't dry the moisture out the plaster. If you go neat, if you take a little bit and go in neat to the angle, you won't have to worry too much about that, because you're not going to get it all over everything else. I would usually go like this and come down from the angle, which I can do there because I can get my fingers in, but I can't do anywhere else. I can only do it where the window reveals are, because my hand fits up. Everywhere else, I put it on the toe of my trowel and just bring it across like that. Notice on the beads, I'm going across them, not down to them. These stick out a little bit further than what you're going to skim most of the wall. So you want to go across them so you don't have a curved section. It's going to be nice and flat across the bead. My dad always used to tell me off for that. Cleaned the back of my trowel off on my pants. You're meant to go in the water bucket with your brush.
My phone.
Oh. I thought you turned them off.
Okay.
Okay, coming closer to this. Come up here and show you this. See this bead here now? We've got to come up this way from it. See, needs more. Needs building out more. By the way, this probably isn't the safest way to go pie, but if you buy trestles, buy them in threes because it works, you know. Just don't tell anyone I told you. It's easier to work up a trestle than a step ladder when you're plastering because you need to be able to move around a little bit. On a step ladder you've got to stay still, so. I'm going to fill out the bead. And I'll look, come around here. Come around this way so you can see. Stand up on here. See this now? I'm trying to fill this out. A big hollow section there. And I'm leaving a line there. I've got to build up more for this bead. It needs to go on thicker. That's more like it. Sometimes you might end up going thick. Look, that is quite a thick bit of plaster on there, you know. Ideally you want to be about 2 mil, but sometimes it has to go on more. We will be giving this another coat. It's going to get 2 coats of plaster, then we're going to flatten it in, then we're going to trowel it twice with water, and we're going to polish it once, and the job will be done. That's the process we're going through. All that's going through my mind is now being careful not to get it all over the ceiling. One, because I don't want to have to clean it off, but two, it starts to drag onto the wall and it just makes plastering the wall more difficult the more mess you make. So. Now I can fit in this way here, so I'll just take a little bit like that. Now, you know, come up close and watch this. You'll see the roll of the trowel, you'll like this. To get plastered up here, I'm going to do this in slow motion for you. I've loaded the trowel up there, I'm going up and rolling down. I've took a little bit there, take it like that, in neat, okay? You see that? So, roll it off, take a little bit, in neat. Now my hand's got to go a funny shape there because this is in the way. You'd hold it like that normally, but you see the principles behind it, don't you? I just can't do it in here because my hand will hit the ceiling. Take a bit, go in neat, sealant, nice and neatly up to it. I'm just getting the corners around these beads, making sure they're full, like by going around like that, you know, and making sure there's no hollows. Now, you know, there's a little bit of a hollow there, but it's not too bad. There's going to be another coat that goes on, and we'll pick that up then, you know. Right. Now, if you start to get a bit of mess in the back of your trowel, or your trowel dries out, just wash it off. You want to try and keep your tools wet. Before I started, you didn't see it, but before I started, I damped down the handboard and the bottom of this. You don't need to keep them permanently wet, but you don't want dry bits appearing like that. See, when you start getting dry bits, you'll start getting suction. Just means it'll dry your plaster out, you know. So, let's do this bit here. Right. I'll take a bit. Neat. I'll take a bit. Neat. Now, if you end up with plaster over the edge of the bead like this, see here and here, you see that? Make sure your trowel's fairly clean. Just get it off. It's better not to have it on. Now, here's an exciting bit. I'm going to sock it. We've got a little hole round there. Now, they've put scrim over this already, but it's best to fill that hole up first with some plaster and then put your scrim on. Now, this is all live, so I'm just going to be careful. If you're doing this for the first time and you're not that confident with your trowel handling skills, turn the power off, because the last thing you want to do is hit inside there and light yourself up like a Christmas tree. That can go back on now. There we go. That's just going to stop that little bit there breaking off. Work down to it. I'm taking your time to work in nice and neat around that switch and trying to keep the shape of it square. So you don't want to start filling all out with plaster if you can help it. If you do get loads in there, you can pick it back out again when it starts to set, but if you can avoid getting it in there in the first place, just makes your life easier. I'm just going to lay these scrims down because they're not stuck very well. See these scrims here? These are a little bit loose. So I'm just going to put some plaster in them just so they stay still. If you want to know how to roll the trowel, come in close and watch this, you'll see. Trowel comes up, roll, roll, okay. Very thick there. Look how thick that's got to go on. That'll need building up more. careful not to leave a big bulge at the bottom. The joiners absolutely hate that if you leave a big bulge at the bottom. Notice I dropped a little bit of plaster then. Some guys will leave it down. I like to just get rid of it as you go. The less plaster on the floor, the better. And as long as you haven't scooped up any hard lumps, that little tiny bit will end up just going back in the wall, you know. This wall here is all shapes. It's all over the place. You can feel it with the trowel when you're doing it, so you're just going to do your best to build it out and get it all nice and flat. Now, here's another exciting bit. Underneath here is a brand new radiator that's not coming off. They don't want to take it off. Behind it's nice, under there's nice. So I just got to blend in around the edge of it. Some guys will try and blend in right behind it, but it's more difficult. And when you look down it, you'll see the ridge where the plaster stops. It's much easier to blend in where you can actually work on it. So initially it doesn't look that nice because you can see where the new plaster meets the old plaster, but you're going to get it a smoother transition. You want it seamless so you can't see it when it's painted, and that's going to be difficult to do behind there because you can't get the edge on your trowel. Nice. So here we go, blending in. When you blend, do it right from the get-go, like so. Yeah, here's another little tricky bit. Look down here. You want to go low enough for the joiner to be able to put the skirting on nicely. That's a big bump down there that we're trying to get smooth. See now, the blend has already been started off. You don't want to start off with a ridge and then try and smooth the ridge out at each second. You want to get it blended in from the start. Yeah, look, we've nearly used the full bag. We're not far off the full bag. By the time I put these reveals in, and the soffit under there, we'll pretty much use the whole bag. Whatever you mix for your first coat, so how much it takes exactly half for the second coat. So if we use a full bag to put it all on, it'll be half a bag to second coat it all. General rule of thumb. Ooh, look at that. It's getting messy in my old age. So any little bits, just wipe them off as you go. Let's tuck that out of the way. Right, again, blending in. Straight from the start. It's just the same techniques over and over again. Take a little bit, go in neat. Sometimes you have to do it twice if it's thick. And I'm not stopping short, I'm going well past the smell of the skirting board's going to finish too, just to make sure the joiner's life is easier. You can use all parts of your trowel as well. You've got both sides and the toe. You don't really use the heel. Imagine like a foot. You want to use the toe end, not the heel end, for awkward, tricky little bits. Some guys like to have lots of little trowels and spatulas and all different tools for awkward areas. I would recommend, if you can, getting used to just using your trowel. If you can just do most things with that, it's going to make your life a lot easier. Less tools to have to buy, you know, and rely on. Really, see that? Be careful of that. Oh no. Don't film that bit. We should have edited that out. What's he like? Don't worry about me dropping a bit. Trust me, when you first start, you're going to drop a lot. So just expect it. I'd recommend, if it's your first couple of goes, put some waterproof tarpaulin down, because chances are you will drop a bit, you know. Right, under here, we're going to skim smooth, but ultimately on this side, it's going to get stippled so that it matches the old Artex. So this is just a bit of blending into the original. Oh my. Oh my. Oh, if you don't close all doors apart, we're alright. It's no bother to us, look, we're alright now. We've got everything in. I thought you guys were leaving it open for the dust or something, you know?
No, I think it's like Graham just thinks it's easy for kids to get in and out, so I'll shut it open in a minute then. Just water. Don't want any juice in it or anything. No? Yeah? Don't you or drink it out of bed? Shut this door.
Okay, that's that on. Now ultimately that we are going to finish with a brush so it can be stippled and just blended into there. It would have been nice to work to a nice solid bead there and straighten it out, but they don't want to start interfering with the ceiling because it continues and the decoration has to continue. So this we're just going to feather in. This is all what somebody else has done. The decorator's going to come up under there. What have you? We're just going to do our best to meet up as tidy-ish as possible. Right, reveals out here. Just noticed we're going to need a little bit of screwing. See here, this is a piece of plasterboard leading up to an old wall. Any joints on plasterboard need to be scrimmed. So a little piece of screw in there, and we'll do the same on the other side. In there. You'll see this best from round here. Come round this way. We'll avoid getting it all over the window frame, so just again, take a little bit to go in neat. And what you also want to be doing is when you do reveals, you want to sight them and look down them and make sure they're nice and straight and full. Notice I'm bringing the trowel off the reveals fairly flat. I'm not deliberately taking plaster out. I'm just taking it there. Okay, now two ways on reveals. So loosen that. Go up. What I'm looking for is any hollows in the bead off. Any misses or any hollows, I'll fill them out. So that little wiggle, that just gets it to stay in there. Okay, come on there so you can see under here. Look at this. See a little gap at the end there. Just put a little bit on the toe of the trowel, just on there to fill that out. Like that. Nice and gentle up to it, don't dig in. Now, notice now, look, I've noticed a bit of a line there, so I'm going to just flatten that off, clean the bead off. Now what you might find is that your wall doesn't quite look as flat as that. Okay, so see just like these lines here, I'm just going to flatten them in. If your wall's got lots of lines all over it, it might be an idea to just give the wall a smooth over now in between coats. That's the official way of doing it. If you can put it on nice and neat, you can sort of skip that step. Now this is still fairly wet, okay, so that's the touch test. Look, coming close. Touch test. It's still sticking to my fingers, so it's a little bit wet to second coat yet, but I know it's not going to take long, so I'm going to mix up again. Now, if you're a beginner, never done it before, probably best to take all that plaster out, put it onto an empty bag, washing the bucket round. You want to do this fast, and then mixing up half a bag of plaster, half the amount that you've done for the first coat. Okay, I am going to mix up on top of this, which means that it's going to be dirty water that's still got plaster in it. When you mix that with water, that means that the new water is dirty water. And what happens is, the setting action from that plaster affects the new plaster and makes it set faster. So if you're a beginner and you need more time, nice and clean, wash it all out, start fresh. If you're like me, and you know, you want it to go faster because you want to go home faster for a pint, then you can mix up on top of it. But be warned, you have to go quick. So wash the tools off in between. I'm just checking that Reese isn't going to sleep and he's still filming. I don't know what he's like. You'll be watching me 1 minute and then his brain will go somewhere else and you'll just be like that. Well, hello. Right. So I've used just under half a bag of plaster. Okay, so what you find is one of these full to the brim gives you enough water for 1 bag of plaster. So I've used just under 1 bag, so I want just under half a bag to second coat it. So I'm going to put half one of these in, or just under half. Like so. And mix out first, which doesn't take long, just a quick whisk around. Plaster in. Now, I'm using board finish. Board finish sets a little bit quicker than multi-finish. If you want more time, just use multi-finish. Watch this bit. Inside that bit of card, there'll be plaster. If you don't shake it out like that, it sits inside there. You'll pull that off and it'll just go everywhere. I might have put too much powder in. A bit, if you do, just add a bit of water. That is a little tiny bit thick for what I want, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water, just a splash. Straight around the edge of the bucket. Get all the dry clumps off. Now I can work with this wetter. You might not want to have it as wet as me, because the wetter it is, the more chance you'll drop it, but the wetter it is, the easier it is to spread. So as you sort of get further on in your plastering career, you want to make things as easy as possible for the wrist. Now, second coat is going to go on a little bit faster than the first coat. When your handball's wet, just prime it a little bit first. Like so. My handball's covered in base coat at the minute from thin coat rendering. It builds up, this grey stuff, it builds up on your handboard and it doesn't come off. It's flexible, it's designed to stick to basically anything, so it sort of wrecks your tools a bit. Okay, touch test, look up here, when it's on just a normal thickness, I can leave an imprint in the plaster, but it's not sticking wet plaster to my fingers. So that means that this is ready to go. I've got a few different suctions on here because we've got bonding coat, we've got plasterboard, we've got old bits of water, and this is going to dry out at different speeds. Note as well, drying and setting are different things. Drying and setting. High suction backgrounds draw moisture of plaster, so it's drying it out. It doesn't mean it's set. You're just going to follow the same process. You're just going to go over the wall again, the same way you did earlier. I'm just finding hollows as I'm going. Any hollow sections I'm just building out as I go. You can see it with your trowel because it leaves misses like this. See that there? That's a miss. If you come in real close, you'll be able to see. See, there's wet plaster there, but there's none in the middle. It's missed. That's because that section of the wall is slightly hollow. As I said, this wall originally is all over the place. So we're doing our best to get it smooth and flat. Our friend the electrician's been in. Notorious for tidying up after themselves, electricians. Throwing up that bead again. Important to just keep the back edge of these tools clean. If the back edge of your trowel's dirty, it's hard to leave a nice job. That's another place of white stuff. on my shoulders. Don't learn my bad habits. It's best to wash the back of your trowel. I was never allowed to sit in the front of my dad's van when I was an apprentice because I'd have plaster all over here and all over here where I just need to keep that clean, okay? But if you can use a brush, if you can be bothered to get up and down, then do it. I've got a bad knee, so that's my excuse. That's why I'm not bothering. I just do it on my clothes. This bit. Just go a little bit further past now where the original blend was, just a touch past it. Okay, yeah. See the hollows? So I'll come in for a close up for them, mate.
Zoomed in.
Just try and get your angle neat as you're doing it. Now, some guys want you to go up and down your angle, but if you only take a bit and go in neat to your angle, you won't end up with it bulged out in the corner. So it's not too thick. Like this, just go a little bit neat in, awkward little areas down here, to be fair. Much easier with the radiator off, but we don't always have that luxury. If you do end up getting on the wall like that, don't leave it, because what will happen is next time you come along, if you push that in, you'll drag it all down your wall. So just get your toe of your trowel clean and just take it off. Make your life a lot easier. Okay. From this angle here, let's get this in. Before you start going over your reveals, make sure, if you haven't already done it, clean the bead down. Because this plaster can potentially be drying out and you're going to push it into the wet plaster and it'll drag and smear. So just make sure to clean them down. When you're doing it with your trowel, don't go too much of an angle because you'll dig in. Trowels are quite sharp. Just keep it on a low angle and you'll be okay. And what you can do with that is, I don't want to mix that in with my wet plaster, so just go. that's all that on. What we're going to do now is clean the bucket out, wash the whisk off, clean everything out, and then we're going to start flattening in. So we're going to take a little break now. Time is now 2:45, so take a little rest now whilst we clean out. As soon as we've done that, we'll come straight back and we'll start flattening in. Okay, it's now 10 minutes later. I just basically sat down whilst Reese did everything. So, Reese scooped all the plaster out of the bag, so that's where we leave that. Once that's set, you can pick it up and carry it around. Some guys try and put it inside the bag. You'll probably make more mess if it's the first time doing it. An easy way of doing it is fold the bag in on itself and it stays open whilst you scoop it in. Just put it on the bag. Once it's set, you can pick it up. Okay. Wash the bucket out. Everything's washed off. So my tools are washed off. My handboard's washed off. That's there. Now we'll start smoothing and flattening it. This stage, you shouldn't really have to use water at this stage for flattening it. It should still be fairly wet. Now that said, I'm aware that we've got some high suction bits, like bonding coat, that might need a little flick of water. So I'm going to keep my water brush in my hand, because it's nice to be able to just keep cleaning the back of your trowel off as you go. And if I do need a little flick of water here and there, I've got it. You will know, you will tell by the texture, if the trowel feels like it's sticking and dragging on the wall, it just needs a little bit of water to lubricate it. So you just start in the same spot, and around you go again. Always the same way. Yeah, I can hear that just pulling a little bit, so I'm just going to give it a little flick of water. You can use a spray bottle. Make sure you use clean water, so don't get dirty water all over it. Only because this is a sloping ceiling, I've just got to do an extra little bit of work up in the angle just to make sure that that's nice. Like so. Here, I'll be able to do that how you would do it if it was just a normal ceiling. If it was flat, you could just work your way up to the angle, like so, and that's how you do it. You just go along with it like that. Just going to make sure I've come down far enough and I can reach off the floor as well. It's no good only coming down to there if you can only reach to there if you're a midget. Always keep the back of the tools nice and wet. Now, as opposed to flicking, you can just give it a little brush if you want, just to lubricate it. Your wall hopefully won't have bonding coat on it and won't need much lubrication. All you're doing when you're flattening in, all you're trying to do is just get rid of any lines and any hollows, that's it. You're not going to get it perfect, so don't be messing around with it for ages. That's why it takes like 2 more trials and a polish to get it perfect. You're not aiming for perfection, you just want no lines and no hollows. I can just see you have a little gap up here that just needs filling out. In fact, if Reese was kind, he'd come up here so you could see. Hint, hint. Okay, so just look up here and you'll see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to come across first like this. Notice the trowel's just angled down a little bit. If you try and go straight, you'll judder. So just angle the trowel down a little bit and you can get in easier. Okay, then to do this bit, you want a little bit of fat in your trowel. That stuff, okay, just take a little bit of that. And you just try to fill out any little gaps that appear. Like that. Now, if you do end up with a little bit of mess on your ceiling, don't worry too much just yet. If it's massive bits, you know, scrape it off. But if it's just the odd little bit like here, see this up here, don't mess around with it too much yet, because you'll do more damage to the wall trying to clean that off at the moment. Just leave it there for a minute. Keeping the back edge of your trowel wet. Still got plenty of fat on the bottom of your trowel, that comes in handy. You don't want to use fat to fill hollows later on. But now, this fat, it's off the first flattening in, this has still got plaster content, so this will still set. The later on the stages, the fat that you bring off has lost that setting power. It's already started to set and you're bringing it back fat, so if you fill out things later on, it'll just turn to dust, it won't set hard like plaster. So it's important that you try and get all the filling out done now with the flattening coat, you know, with the flattening pass over, sorry. I'm getting up as far way, you know. That's why I'm doing that up there. You never want to just go one way all the time when you're plastering. You always want to try and go two ways. So if you come that way and that way, because the trowel's flat along the length of it, and that's how you get the wall nice and flat, by going two ways, or the ceiling. Like so. Now, if you're working on a plasterboard wall that's just been boarded, there wouldn't be half as much messing around. It's only because this wall's been all over the place and we're trying to straighten it out a little bit that I'm having to go over places twice, 3 times. Usually on a plasterboard wall, you just go across the top, across the bottom, done, you know, next part of the process. Whereas this, you'll notice sometimes I want to faff around a little bit just because the walls are curved in places. We're trying to get it flat. Notice I'm going both ways on this. I'm bringing it down as well, just to make sure it's nice and filled out and the corner is in nice and tight. If that gets too much, just wipe it off. That's another thing my dad didn't like. My old fella used to like you to get an old piece of wood or an old bit of plasterboard, and any of this fat that comes off, scrape it on that. He used to hate it being in his water bucket. But I'm like lazy, so. Right, round here, because it's thick and it was just over old paint, it won't take a lot of water. When you're going around your switches and your sockets, I've gone like that and like that. So what I'm going to do now is to make sure that it's not curving out. I'm just also going to go across diagonally, and that just makes sure that the areas stay flat. Like that. So I know all around that switch now is lovely and flat. We're going diagonal around the switches. Just a bit of water for the blend. Whenever you go over a blend, always need water. Now, look under there, see that little bit? Small tool. Down there. And there's a little nib on there as well. Beautiful. Smooth at it. Granted, look, this area here, you got the bead here, it's feathered in here. That's not going to be perfectly flat. It's going to be slightly curved in. Now, the human eye, you're not going to spot it, but there's not much you can do because you don't want to build this out level here, and I can't get behind that. And there's a big step in the wall, so you gotta think with plastering. Sometimes what looks right is right. So if that looks nice because it's feathered in lovely, when it's painted up and the bead's nice and straight, that's what you're going to have to do. Sometimes you just need to curve things ever so slightly, just so the job looks lovely. In an ideal world, you know, we'll just be working over nice plasterboard walls, but when you're re-skimming over old walls, you don't always have that luxury. Up and down the beads, make sure they look nice and square. Again, with the blend, wet, where you're going to blend in. Always use water on the joints. You've got to brush it. If you don't, you won't get a nice job of it. See, come in a second. Man, see this here now. Look how that's blended in there. You don't want to step. That literally has to be seamless and feathered in. So once it's painted, you will not see it. Like that. The trowel is pushing on the old wall and it just feathers the plaster in. And the same up the sides. Some people think that blending in can't be done, but it's just because they haven't used the right techniques of doing it. Because I'm blending into nothing here, I'm going to give it a brush all over. This will help bring the fat up on the plaster, which makes it easier to trowel up. So here, when my mates prep this, he hasn't had my best interests at heart. This is slightly curved this way, and this is a little bit sticking down. So what I'm going to do is, there's nothing to do about the curve. We'll have to go with that and blend that into the ceiling in there. But this bit here, I'm just going to pick that out. And whilst the stuff is still soft, we'll just put some firm stuff back in there, like so. what you want to do is, when you do your reveals then, stand back like that. And just look down and make sure that the bead and the window frame are all nice and neat and straight, it's not wavy at the back. And then, if you can, just make sure that all the overspill on the window frame, just give it a little wipe off. It's easier to get it whilst it's wet than once it's set. There you go. Once we've been over these soffit and reveals, I'm going to give that sill a little wipe off as well. We'll have a little scrape around, a little clean up as we go. Clean job's a happy job. Okay, so now that's flattened in. We've used a bit more water than you usually expect to, but I'm going over all different suction backgrounds, so it's not a problem if you end up having to use water when you're flattening in. Just bear in mind that you're not going to have much rest. It just means that the moisture's being drawn out quite quick out of the plaster. So whereas now you'd usually have 10 or 15 minutes to just have a cup of tea, I'm not. I'm going to wipe this sill down, give a little scrape around the floor, and go again with the first wet trowel. Time is 23 minutes past 3. So I've just given this a little wipe over. Reese has gone to get a cloth out of the van. I'm going to wipe that, and I'm going to get straight on with the first wet trowel. No rest for the wicked today. On this big wall. The guys on building site to be laughing at me. They're doing like 30 metres per square, 30 square metres a gauge. And I think I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm doing about 8 or 9 square metres. So this is like easy peasy stuff for them. But a little bit more tricky with all the obstacles, you know. It is what it is. Anyway, I'm going to wipe this sill down and then we'll get the first trowel done. There we go. Not going to go too wild yet. We're going to give it a proper clean down at the end, but just keep it clean as you go. It makes tidying up at the end much easier if you wipe stuff up as you go. I don't know how good you can see that on the camera, but just in here is like stipply artex. So brush and just finish it in a little bit. Just get it started now. Make it much easier for the troweling up. Okay, so the first wet trowel, it's now almost 20 to 4. We did have a little delay just because I was chatting to the customer for a bit. So now we're going to get on this, bit of water, same process through again. And each time now, the first wet trowel, the second wet trowel, we're just getting it smoother and neater each time now. There shouldn't be any hollows, but if there is, then this is your last chance. You should have already filled them by now, but I mean, any further past this trowel, then you're in big trouble. So that's why you keep a little bit on the side of your bucket. You know, if you do something crazy now, like say for instance you come along and you nick a little bit out the wall, someone knocks into it from skirting board, that's why you've got this on here, because you can just take a little bit of that. This stuff is the same set as this, so you can just fill things back in again with that, you know, and you'll just get away with it now. So that's why you keep some on the side of your bucket. Right, let's begin. I'm still not going to pay too much attention to these little bits of crud. Just come up here a little bit, or zoom in a little bit. See, there's these little bits of overspill, tiny little bits of crud up here. I'm not going to pay too much attention to these just yet. I'm going to just leave them there for a minute down the rest of the wall. We'll come to them on the second wet trowel. So for now, a little bit of water right round the edges, round your beads. Tuck your corners in. Just a little word of warning, when you're tucking in like that, don't push too far in. Your pressure should be applied that way, not that way, because the last thing you want to do is be pushing up and start slicing through your scrim, because then it's not doing nothing, you know. This is drying in a little bit. It's a little bit more dry than what would be nice for me, but it's good because I've got the opportunity to show you this is how you deal with it if you end up in this situation. So I'm just giving it a little bit of a brush as I'm going. It'd be nice if I didn't have to brush it, I could just flick a bit of water on. So pressure, you're not pressing as hard as you can, but you are applying pressure as you're going. You are pushing a little bit on the wall. You're trying to get everything nice and flat, all the bumps out of it, so you have to apply a little bit. Sort of, I'd say you're pushing as hard as if you were just going to push them off balance, you know? You're not going to throw your body weight at it, but just enough to, you're just pushing a little bit. See what I'm doing to lubricate the plaster, the fat that's on the trowel there, I'm just smearing that on the wall, smearing it down the wall, and then taking it back off again. And that is just lubricating the wall. I'm not so much filling out hollows with it, I'm just using it for lubrication. Everything works better with a little bit of lubrication. Reese looks horrified. There's a few little hollow bits just in that ceiling line there that I'm just filling out. Just little misses. So I'm just pushing some plaster into them to make sure. So ultimately, when we cut the little cruds off and we brush it with the angle brush, there won't be any little missing bits. This fat is no good for filling anything in with, so I like to put it in a different place. If anyone knocks into the wall or chips the wall, or you need to fill anything out around a switch or anything like that, you don't use that. That won't set. This stuff will. This is the same as what's on the wall. This is just very, very weak plaster now. It's okay using it for lubrication, but not for filling anything out. Isn't that right, Reese?
Yeah.
There you go. You've never even heard him speak before, have you? Just tucking the corner in. You're not going to be changing the shape of the plaster very much now. You're literally just flattening it down, consolidating the surface. Is like a nerdy way of saying it, but you're basically closing the surface in. If you let that set it feel rough like sandpaper, it's going to start feeling smooth, and you just flatten out any little bumps really. In little tricky areas, don't be afraid to use the toe of your trowel. Blend needs brushing again. Now, I spilt a little bit of water just on top of that, so before you give that a chance to dry, just give it a little wipe off. Keep our little mate, the electrician, happy. Pushing the blend. Oh, that's nice. The radiator's red hot. So, if you're a beginner, turn the heating off because it dries your plaster out faster and makes it more exciting for you to try and get it nice. But this won't affect me now. It's okay. The plastic is under control. But what you don't want to do is start plastering, especially if you're only just getting started. You don't want to start plastering with something warm in the room and drying your plaster out quick. There's not much they can do to me now to surprise me these days. We have it all, we have radiators on. Not here, not in this job, but I'm just saying, over time, you'll have kids coming in, touching the walls, dogs coming in, knocking into the walls. You might have electricians with wires in your plaster that go live and make your wall live. What else have we had? Oh, you might get a joiner, if you're lucky. You might get a joiner doing his chop saw, making sawdust all over your wet plaster. That's quite exciting when that happens. There's all sorts of things they do to you. Oh, this is what we're doing up here. Don't forget which way round you're going. Do everything in order, so don't change the order. Okay, Reese?
Yeah.
It's highly exciting.
Yeah. Maybe hour and a half of filming.
Right. Come here. Try not to do that. Okay. The reason that's done that is because We need a clean water bucket, but Reese at the moment is holding the camera. So once we've finished this trowel, which means literally I've got to go over that bit there and down that bit there, we'll be able to have 10 minutes then. In that 10 minutes, we'll clean these water buckets out. We're going to keep some of that fat on the side of the bucket just in case anything happens, anything crazy, but we're going to clean those two water buckets out. Nice clean water, and then I won't get water, dirty water all over the frames. What you can do, you can use a spray bottle. You can pump a spray bottle up and just have a constant supply of clean water. What I find is the seals go on the spray bottle. So if you're doing a one-off job, it's fine. If you're doing it every day, you end up buying a new spray bottle every week or two. So, well, I don't know if that's just me because I pump it too much. Little gap in the reveal, a little bit of my stuff there. See these little gaps up here? Just fill them in, like that, like so. Okay, the time is now 4 o'clock on the dot. So we're going to take a break now. I'm going to clean these water buckets out, and then when we get to the second wet trowel, we'll come back to you then. Okay, time for the second wet trowel. It is now 27 minutes past 4. I'm not doing this at a specific time. It's not like I've waited exactly, 13 minutes or 18 minutes. It's just, the wall's pretty much gone off. I'm just going to give it another one over. There's no dark patches appearing yet. Or maybe a little one here where it's on quite thin, But ultimately, it's just experience that's going to teach you the timings. Now, if you don't know, if you're not sure how long you can leave it in between, just go over it again. It's not going to do it any harm if you give it 10 trowels, okay? The minimum that I would say you can do to get a good job is 1 flattening, 2 wet trowels and a polish. So you're going to give it 2 coats and go over it 4 times. That's the bare minimum. If you end up, because you don't know the timings just yet, doing it 5 or 6 times, that's fine. You won't finish it any faster, because it'll only polish up when it's set, or when it's just setting, just turning. So it'll still take the same amount of time, but you might end up going over it more. Now, on this trowel, I will be going round and neating up the edges as I go. So sometimes I'll get the whole wall up and I'll go back and neaten the edges up. But because this is high and I can't be bothered building this thing up and down every 2 minutes, I'm going to do it as I go round. So I'm just going to cut in like that, come round just so you can see. I've just cut in like this, down here, and then I'm just going to slide down with the trowel like that. And it just cuts any overhang off, and then down again to finish it. And then I just flatten it in with my brush, like so. Same on the ceiling. This should only take a second. And that's how you get everything looking nice and neat. Now, if you do that at the start, it's fine. You can do it on each step of the process. You can it down, but you'll still have to do it at this point. So I just leave it all to one point because it's faster. But obviously, if you've made loads of mess, you might have to do it more. You know, if you've got it all over the ceiling, all over the walls, you know, like I sometimes do. It does happen sometimes, and just clean it down as you go. Now you just push it slightly harder again. Nice clean water. So as I'm brushing into the other walls and ceilings, because I'm brushing in, I'm not going to leave, we call it fat marks. I'm not going to leave dirty water stains and fat marks all over all the adjoining walls and ceilings and window frames, because the water's clean. Now, if you get to this bit and you find you've got little holes in the gap up there in the corner, you've still got your fat on the side of the bucket. Show. You've still got that, and you can just take a little bit of that and fill it in. But hopefully, if you've got everything sort of right up to this point, you shouldn't. It should just be brushed in nicely, and that's it finished. I know it's been a long video, just hang on a little bit more, we're nearly finished, okay? Not far to go. At this point, all you're going to be getting off is just a little bit of milky water. That's it. There won't be lots of fat coming off at this point. Just keep wetting the brush. Clean water. I always like to brush my beads a little bit as well because it just cleans them off. Just cleans the front of them off. At this point, you're not really going to be changing the shape of anything. If anything, you might have watermarks, lines off the water that have sort of dried on a little bit, that you'll be getting rid of those. Maybe a little bit of bubbling somewhere, a little bit of rippling. If you find any ripples in the plaster, just brush it both ways, like that way and then that way. Plenty of water and trowel it with a bit of edge on the trowel. When I say edge, more edges like that. So if you get, say there was ripples there, I'll brush it like this, yeah, 2 different ways, and then trowel it with edge, and that'll get rid of them. Tiger stripes, ripples, cellulite on the wall, you know, that's what it looks like. Now, make sure your corners are completely filled in. You don't want little spider holes. Okay, so if Reese comes up here and goes behind me, you go up there, you can see this is only the second wet trowel, but if he comes in a little bit, you'll be able to see, I don't know if you can see that there, but the wall's starting to get a little bit of a shine on it, a little bit of a reflection. It is fairly smooth there. Can you see that on the camera?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you see it's almost perfect. Now, there's not really a great need for me to get up and polish this. It doesn't need polishing. And I'm not polishing it in the sense that I'm going to try and make it even more smooth, although I'm going to go over it again. The reason I polish it, some fellas don't bother, is it just gives me one last go over just to check that everything's right. It's sort of your last chance before you leave the job, so it's more like a final check for me. But, you know, still good practice to do it, so don't omit it. So we'll get the bottom of this, second trowel, and then quick polish. Okay, mate. You going? Just making sure it's recording. clean the beads down as I go. Okay, the reason I'm just messing with this, come in a minute, just come in close. The reason I'm just taking that bit out there is I've noticed a little dint there, and I didn't know if it was in a bit of plaster that needed to be knocked off, but it's not. That's actually on the wall. So, I'll take a little bit from the side of this bucket that we left on, a bit of that stuff. It's almost set. Dip it in the water a little bit just to help it. And then I'm just going to press it on there, like that. There we go. There we go. That's why you keep them little bits on the side of the bucket. Any little imperfections that you spot, you can just fix them. Reese?
Yeah, I'm still just...
He's going to sleep. He's only got one more go. He's like, he's giving up. Stay with me, guys, we're nearly finished. Trowel nice and clean. Brush. Can you see down here? So this bit done. Check the inside and make sure that is feathered in quite nice. Yeah, come in and have a look. So what we've got is it's like stipply artex, and there's a bit of stipple here, and we're just blending into it. We've got a little bit of dirty water on this, but we'll clean that off before we go. Let's do now the reveals on the soffit. We'll clean the window frame down, and then it's just a polish. Oh, another thing that we'll do in a minute. Let's do this now. Take your saw tool, very gently, just cut these. Perfect. Put these down. Just lift them up out of the way. You can see. Just be careful not to stab the wires, okay? There you go. That's nice and square. And then this one. Just remember, if the power's still on, that's got no insulation on it, so be careful. Don't when you get electrocuted and blaming me for it. Now, we'll get round here done. Just going both ways on these to make sure, because they're only little, I don't want any of it curved out. So I'm just going both ways to make sure that they are flat. What you don't want is these, like a letter C, where you've just gone one way. Okay, so now go around with a cloth. We're going to wipe everything down, lovely, all the window frame, and then it's just a quick polish. Okay, it is 5 to 5. we've dragged this out a little bit, so we need to speed up because Kirk needs a pint of Guinness. So, carry your water brush. You won't be flicking any water on the wall now or wetting the wall. All you might do is just wet the bottom of your trowel like that. That's it. All the angles are brushed in and cleaned down. You'll give them a final tickle with the angle brush in a minute. The windows all wiped down. All the boxes are cleaned out. We're going to polish, scrape, brush the angles in. Go. You don't really need to fart around in here now. All your angles should be pretty much neat. You're just going over and checking the work all over, making sure it's nice. Good, thanks, Barbara.
Yeah? Oh, looking good.
We're getting there.
You're getting there.
You'll be famous by next week.
I really haven't.
Right, tell you what would be good. You go up there and look across the wall. You'll see the polish on the wall, and you don't want to get it too shiny. That's about as far as you want to go with it. That's basically finished up there now. Just check over your blend. That is absolutely seamless. There's no ridge, there's no joint, it just feathers in perfectly. So don't listen to anyone that says it can't be done. You just need to use water and a brush every time you go over it.
Some people say it can't be done.
Oh, yeah. There's an army of them that don't believe in it. That, by the way, is Barbara, who's been looking after us with loads of cups of tea. I mean, in fact, now I don't need fattening up. She's been well looking after us, making sure we're okay. Right, now, doesn't need it, because I've been doing it with this on my way, but I'm going to whiz round quickly with the angle brush, finish the angles off. Look at this now. This, Reese has been messing around with this, making crumbs, but this is set. If Reese hadn't made any crumbs, we wouldn't have to worry about any fall off, but anyway, that's what it is. That can just go straight in the bin, or in the skip, wherever. Angle brush, quick scrape, and a brush. That's us. Take your brush. I'd love a cup of tea, if that's okay, please, thank you.
Reese, you don't want to do it?
No, I'm okay, thanks.
Keeping me well hydrated. So it's starting to go dark in patches now. These little dark areas showing, look up there. See, there, dark bits showing. Here. That's how you know, that's set. Them dark bits are set, you won't change them whatsoever now. And that's how you know it's time to polish. That's how you know you're at the end, basically, because it's starting to set. You can't change it anymore. later. Thanks for watching.